Hello and good morning, everybody. Welcome. Hope you had a great Christmas. We certainly did. We had a great Christmas. Christmas was a lot of fun. Got to see family and all that good stuff. Welcome to the Impact Money Show. This is your beacon of light through the storm of global finance, politics, and culture. In today's episode, titled Nukes, Plane Crashes, H-1B, Bitcoin and Christmas. Have more kids. 2025 is going to be wild. Promises to be a marathon of insights, analysis, and perhaps a dash of speculation. So let's dive in before there's a lot to unpack. There is a lot to unpack here. Let me send over my link to my main man right over here. Boom. There we go. There's a lot going on, folks. Starting with the financial sector, the U.S. Federal Reserve is at a pivotal moment, contemplating significant changes to its annual bank stress test. Now, of course, this is the banking cartel that owns the United States. More and more people, I talk about it all the time, more and more people are starting to get it. We're owned by this banking cartel that controls everything. They pay the salaries of our elected representatives. They are their bosses. This comes at a time when banks are wrestling with unrealized losses in their bond portfolios, a scenario that could either be a precursor to more robust financial stability or a harbinger of systematic risk. How the banking cartel, the Federal Reserve, maneuvers here could define the economic narrative for years to come, especially with the backdrop of potential interest rate fluctuations. Now, most of us, I think, find it pretty interesting that if now everything crashes, but it does, we could be in for that. I mean, recession is definitely it's lining up for recession. It might not go to recession. We'll have to see. But if you think the finance was the only story, think again, traditional finance, that is. Bitcoin, the digital gold standard, hit an all-time high recently of 108,000 before retracing to below 93,000 just over the last 24 hours. This isn't just a number, it's a testament to the wild swings in investor sentiment. The tug of war between inflation fears and the allure of digital assets. With the Fed's, the banking cartel's, next move on rates potentially influencing crypto's trajectory, we're left wondering, is Bitcoin's peak behind us? Or is this just another dip before the next climb? Is 108 the local top, as we call it? Is that the local top? In the realm of corporate finance, we've seen strategic maneuvers like JSW Energy's acquisition in O2 Power in India, a move that could reshape the energy sector's landscape. Meanwhile, Vodafone has caught a financial lifeline with relief on bank guarantees, offering a glimmer of hope in the challenging market. And with the pre-budget meetings underway between India's finance minister and industry leaders, we're at the cusp of policy decisions that could ripple through the global market. India, right? India. However, the festive mood in Russia has been soured by high food prices, a stark reminder of how inflation can dampen spirits even during the holiday season. In the U.S., despite a 25 basis point rate cut by the banking cartel, the specter of inflation persists, casting a long shadow over consumer confidence and economic recovery. Well, of course, guys, inflation is out of control. Why is it out of control? Because they keep printing money. They keep diluting your money. It's very simple to understand. Even people that don't understand finance can understand that. My 14-year-old can understand it. Now let's pivot to a story that's as explosive as it sounds. Reports of Israel potentially deploying tactical nuclear weapons in Syria. Radiation readings Seismic disturbances and a flurry of online speculation have fueled a debate on the implications for global security. Of course, as you may or may not know, Israel is not supposed to have nuclear weapons. But everybody pretty much agrees that they have them. Pretty wild. And of course, John F. Kennedy, the great John F. Kennedy, said we're going to go in and inspect and see if they do have them. And of course, he was dead. I think weeks after that. Nuke. So by the looks of it, and from what I see, this is probably a nuclear weapon. It's pretty wild here. I'll share. Because it's very well hidden. Most people are not able to see it. Here you go. This is the bad boy right here. Took off a complete mountaintop, I think, from what I understand, or vaporized all the leaves and everything on the trees within a kilometer. They did have a seismic reading. It also registered on the Richter. That's pretty wild, huh? Yeah, it's not good, guys. We don't need to. Obviously, it's a show of force as well as anything else. Is this an act of deterrence, a strategic strike, or simply a case of looks like a nuke, but it's not a nuke? I think with the radiation readings and everything, that's pretty much, of course, they're all trying to hide that. The lack of official confirmation only adds to the intrigue of a potential for international tensions. Closer to home, the H-1B visa debate has escalated into a cultural and political battleground. I must admit, guys, that I was pretty happy to be playing golf as I saw days later that X had exploded. Our friend Elon Musk had a meltdown. I still like Elon. Sometimes I have meltdowns too. Okay. With the MAGA base over this H-1B visa situation, it was not pretty. I was glad to not be on X at the time. I was glad to not be on X. Elon Musk, a product of, well, he didn't actually. So Elon Musk came over on a student visa, actually. Has staunchly defended the H-1B program against criticism from the Make America Great Again base. He's highlighting the tensions between the global talent acquisition and protecting American jobs. This isn't just about visas. It's about the direction of American tech industry, workforce composition, and the broader narrative of what American jobs should look like. I think for most Americans, it's pretty simple. No one supports DEI when it's against them, but when it's for them, they support it, right? Hire America first. America first, right? Right? America first. That's the deal. I think that there's certainly a place for the H-1B. We want to make sure that we have the smartest and the brightest people around. We also want to make sure that our young workforce, our kids coming out of college, are able to get good jobs. So I think somewhere probably in between is where we go. It certainly caused a lot of ruckus and a lot of fights back and forth. I can tell you that Elon Musk is not the enemy. Okay. Some of the things that happened are questionable, certainly. People, it was pretty dirty. People lost their blue checks. People have been censored. Yeah, it's pretty ugly. Like I said, I was glad to be away from it. We're always a guest on the X platform. We were before, and we are again now. It's like I tell the guys when we go over to the Middle East, like, look, guys, leave your stupid little pins at home, okay? Don't do anything stupid, because I probably will not be able to help you out. And I know a lot of people, but you get in trouble like that, and I'm not able to help you out. Anyway, point is that I tell them that we are a guest. We are guests here. And I think that everybody needs to look. X is a wonderful place, but of course we are guests. We are guests on the platform. And I do appreciate it. I do appreciate being a guest on the platform. The H-1B situation is, of course, Trump comes out backing Elon. It's a very small thing in the immigration deal and what we have going on. I think that if we actually do ship back millions and millions of illegals who have entered the country, that it won't even be a conversation. Okay? And that's what I think. I think if you do the other stuff that you're supposed to do, then H-1B won't be an issue. You want to bring smartest and the this people. To be frank, it's not really good for either country, probably. Definitely not good. India, I guess, is where a lot of them are coming. Poor India. All we're doing is taking their smartest and brightest people and bringing them over here. And I would say that not investing in our own people is not good either. So I would tend to say that the H-1B visa program is not conducive to a strong country growth. But that being said, I'm sure having the best and the brightest from everywhere else, it also has its advantages. So there you go, It's tricky, guys. It's tricky. Christmas 2024 was a mixed bag. While movies like Red One and Nutcrackers offered escapism, there were also real-life tales of holiday stress. From family disputes to heartwarming story of an owl in the Rockefeller Center tree, inspiring a Disney Plus film. It's a microcosm of how the holiday season reflects our societal joys and frictions. We had a wonderful time, of course, with family. And we also had a wonderful time. I'm glad they brought it to light, but you're correct, Bruce. It's not the main issue. Good morning, sir. H-1B, that is. Yes, sir. I agree with you. It is not the main issue. We got bigger fish to fry, guys. We got bigger fish to fry. And don't go frying yourself. Don't go. I was like, man, Loomer got loomered. Poor Laura Loomer. I mean, like her or not, she's Laura Loomer, right? And she lost her blue check. Of course, I'm still not convinced whether she lost her blue check because she changed her name. Did she change her name? I'm not sure of that. Or if he just took it. I'm not really, I don't know. I mean, she says he took it, so probably he took it. I have no idea. But yeah, Loomer got loomered. Loomered herself. There's no reason. It's like when I used to, everybody would go on and on about everything. And I would sometimes, you can even probably see a pattern if you've followed me for a while, that I'll step back. Now, luckily, I just wasn't even online really when this all happened, but I'll take a step back when stuff, because here's the thing. If you lose your reach, what good does that do you? If you lose your ability to reach the people, how does that do you any good? It doesn't do you any good. So, and like I said, Elon is not the enemy. Elon's not the enemy, guys. Is he crazy? Yes, obviously. Okay. I mean, I'm crazy too. Don't take it wrong, Elon. Yeah, he's crazy. Look at him. He invested how much to get Trump elected. He dropped everything. He went like, balls to the wall. The guy's nuts. But people that are crazy are the ones who change the world. Obviously. Wow. So, yeah, so he was crazy for you, and now he's crazy about something that you don't agree with. But he's still Elon. And he's still our guy. He's still our guy. While we're on the subject of turbulence, let's not ignore the literal kind. The aviation sector has been rocked by 4 plane crashes in just 2 days, sparking discussions on everything from mechanical failures to conspiracy theories about kill switches in the aircrafts, which I've often talked about. I'm one of those guys who've pushed that out. These incidents across the spectrum of aircraft ages suggest we need to scrutinize maintenance practices, human factors, and perhaps even geopolitical influences. So the kill switches, all the new cars, and this was like, if you said this, you were really in trouble for a little bit if you didn't say it. But all the new cars have a kill switch in them. It was in the legislation, but it didn't matter. If you talked about it on X and stuff, you were bad. You got shadow banned and all kinds of stuff. But it is true. It's in the legislation. So the new cars have a kill switch on them. And so it wasn't even a theory. I hypothesized that the new planes probably have a kill switch too. And of course, the new Boeing, kept having problem after problem. And then we have seen planes just dropping out of the sky. I mean, look at, gosh, I don't know how many, there's been like 10 plane crashes in like a month or two. I mean, it's crazy. It makes me not want to fly. I mean, guys, I've flown a lot. And I'm like, wow. Seems to be, if I would just step back and look at it, I would say that this is somebody's now preferred way of assassinating people. That's what I would say. Easy, hard to, they have some way of doing it, whether it's like some kind of something that they shoot up at the plane that interferes with the tracking or something. I mean, you just don't have so many planes falling out of the sky. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. Granted that the maintenance is not what it used to be. I had a good friend in my younger years who's not with us anymore. And he was a flight attendant for Delta or something for years. And he told me, he says, yeah, they don't take care of them like they used to. They used to really keep these things up. They don't anymore. Something's going to happen. So you have that factor as well to consider. But something's going on with the planes. Something is going on with the planes. In Europe, the crypto market faces its own upheaval with the enforcement of MiCA regulations, the potential delisting, I think it's already delisted from major exchanges, could be a seismic shift, according to liquidity, trading strategies, and the very nature of cryptocurrencies. USDT is used predominantly and valued into the world's largest markets. We could see, it'll be interesting to see. I got Matt Dixon about to come on here. Demographically, the Western world is facing what some call a population collapse, with fertility rates dipping below replacement rates. We're not just talking about fewer people. We're discussing the future of economics, cultural continuity, and social fabric of nations. This trend pushes us to rethink immigration policies, family support system, and how we envision our future workforce. That again brings up the H-1B. I mean, if we're going to not support our young people coming out of college, give those jobs to other people, what do you think is going to happen to that young man or woman? Do you think they're going to want to go have a family? Well, no, of course not. Of course you're not going to want to have a family. They don't have a job. Economic signals in the U.S. are flashing caution: an inverted yield curve, rising unemployment, and a consumer sentiment that's losing its luster are all classic signs of an economy at risk of slipping into recession. The question isn't just if, but when and how hard. For those tracking Bitcoin, the 108,000 mark might have been the local peak, with the technical indicators like RSI divergence and volume analysis suggesting a top. But in the world of crypto, where volatility is the norm, every prediction comes with a caveat. Looking ahead to 2025, the forecasts are as diverse as they are dramatic. We might see economic reacceleration or dive into a recession. Witness AI and robotics redefine our daily lives or navigate through heightened geopolitical tensions. The advice to have more kids could be symbolic, urging us to invest in the future, in innovation, and in resilience. But we do need to have more kids, that's for sure. So as we stand on this precipice, looking into what promises to be a wild 2025, let's prepare for a year of transformation, challenge, and perhaps a great opportunity. Stick with us as we delve in deep into the narratives and more right here on the Impact Money Show. I have with me here the great Matt Dixon. Sir Matt, how are you?
Hey, good morning, Bruce. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Well, Merry Christmas to everybody.
But we're just closing out the year, aren't we? Today, tomorrow, closing it out. So we'll just have a bit of a summarize of where we're at, what the potential issues are. You've covered a lot of them now. Very, very interesting. Condolences about Jimmy Carter. He died yesterday, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, thank you.
100 years old. That's a good age.
100 is a good time to go. I feel like, I want to go longer, but if you did 100, I think you did all right.
Yeah. Reason I brought him up, obviously, he was responsible for the Camp David Accords, the big peace treaty back in 1978, wasn't it? Yep. The peace that was forged between Israel and Egypt. And that peace has held up really well, hasn't it? I mean, now we're what, almost 50 years onward. And the peace is still going strong. There's lots that goes on between them. I think there's a big gas pipeline going through Egypt because Israel actually discovered an awful lot of gas, didn't they? And I know you've said, a lot of it's in disputed territories. But anyway, the big gas pipeline is through Egypt. There's a great commerce goes on there. But obviously, there's a lot of issues going on. And you mentioned about Syria. I know they bombed, I think it's actually back in the 70s, that they bombed a suspected nuclear plant in Syria, which I think was supplied by, if I remember right, it was by China at the time, a nuclear facility, a fast breeder reactor or something of the sort. And that was bombed by Israel back then. And I don't know, maybe that's what this was about this time round. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. I don't know. That was a big bomb, I'll tell you that. And of course, it made all it. They haven't really talked about it on the news per se, but we get the side news. But it hit the radiation readings and everything like that. I mean,
and it registered on the Richter scale, didn't it? So it's like
it registered even on the Richter scale and the radiation levels and everything like that. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's like an earthquake.
Yes.
A good sized earthquake. So it was very, very powerful. Yeah. So what I'll do today, we'll just kind of go over what's happening towards as we close the year out. I think on Wednesday, that is Wednesday, the first of the year.
I will confirm here on my little handy dandy calculator. Wednesday is the 1st.
Yeah, so Wednesday will be a good day to look forward and see what we actually expect to come in 2025. But for now, there's a lot going on. As you said, all those issues, inflation. I mean, inflation is one big issue, but then on the other hand, as you say, you've got high inflation, then you've got high unemployment, you've got inverted yield curve, and you've got almost record delinquencies on credit cards in the US now.
Well, and they've been charging, from what I understand, a lot on these credit cards as well. It's one of the things that Trump ran on, even that he was going to make them, they couldn't charge more than 10% or something, but they're charging 20, 30, 40, 50%, I guess. I mean, the ridiculous numbers. People can never get themselves out of this stuff.
Yeah, so you've got the credit cards, the student loans. It's a big problem. So if you've got rising delinquencies, it's not just the credit card debt itself, it's actually the delinquencies now that are rising. That is a big problem. It's a big drag on the economy. The economy has been supported by debt, as we know, by just creating money and creating debt. And if people are now, there are now delinquencies, record delinquencies on that debt, That's surely got to be a bit of a warning sign. And as you said, there are the warning signs. We may just touch on those charts maybe for the outlook for 2025. It's going to be, there's possibilities and there are probabilities. And at the moment, there are a lot of concerns. So if we just look at the Bitcoin chart, as you said, we've come down quite a lot from that 108 level.
Yep.
Currently on 93. Actually, a few moments ago, it was showing 92,000 something. It's highly volatile. We're in a thin liquidity period during this Christmas holiday period. It's thin liquidity. So you see some quite sharp moves. I mean, I watched Solana, as you know, that's been jumping from sort of 182 to 198. Big moves on pretty thin liquidity. So it's a dangerous time to trade. And I prefer, as I said, before the holidays really started, I said maybe time just to take a rest, actually enjoy the holiday, enjoy the family time, and wait until there's more liquidity back in the market. I mean, at the moment, we're in what are typical kind of consolidation patterns. So we can see this choppy movement here. I've got it labeled ABC at the moment. It could even continue sideways for the time being, but we've got choppy sideways movement. So the all-time high there appeared to be at the culmination of what looks like an ending diagonal for Bitcoin. It doesn't mean it's the very end. It could be just a local top at the 108, as you said. But on this particular cycle, this particular phase of the move, it looks like an end of the current move. And then we get a correction. And either it's an impulsive move down or it's a correction. At the moment, it looks corrective downwards. It's a bit difficult to say, but I think we have a corrective move down. But we may well still have, because this is corrective sideways. I've got it ABC at the moment. It could even turn into ABCDE, or there's a fair few variations, but it looks corrective. But it looks as though we're setting up, even if we move higher again, a little bit higher, but not to new all-time high. But if we move a little bit higher to complete a correction, it looks as though we likely still have lower to go. And there are a lot of concerns on the horizon that we've already touched on that could do that. So I do think that for now, that local high of 108,000 on Bitcoin will probably stand for a little while longer. And I think we're going to see further corrective movement. I think this is probably an A wave down. We're working on a B wave, and I think we're going to C wave down. And I think it is going to shake out a lot of those buys. But I don't think it's the end of the move upwards. I think this is just a period of uncertainty. We've got the inauguration coming up on the 20th. There's a lot of uncertainties, a lot of things people want to play out before Trump takes office. So things may happen. You know, we've heard rumors that Israel are going to do their strike before the 20th. There's lots of people said, as I say, they want to get these things out of the way before Trump takes office. So from now till the 20th of January could be quite a lot of uncertainty. And we may see that sell off, but maybe there'll be another little period of euphoria when Trump actually gets into office, and maybe we start to see some positive things that will initially drive the market higher. I do think we've got new all-time highs to come, though, on Bitcoin. I don't think it's over yet. I think we're just in a corrective period. So that's Bitcoin for now. We won't go into the long term. Maybe we'll look at the new year, at long-term outlooks and what we really expect for 2025. But for now, as I say, I think we're in a corrective mode for the time being. And that kind of aligns quite nicely with the DXY, the dollar index. So the dollar peaked. Let me just scroll out a bit to show you. Doesn't show very well. Maybe I was on the daily chart there. Let's just see how I got that. Yeah, there it is on the daily. That's quite nice. So we can see there a couple of clear divergences on dollar index. So, well, the first divergence we have is up here, telling us that dollar index, this is regular bearish divergence, by the way. It's where you have higher highs in prices and lower highs in RSI, telling you that the high was not supported by volume in the market. And so basically you're expecting a bit of a downturn in the market. Even we got a small divergence. Even here you can see lower lows in RSI, and just here we've got higher highs in price. So there's multiple divergences, bearish divergences right at this point. And we've seen the dollar turn down because of it. And actually before that, we actually had here hidden bullish divergence at the bottom. So we actually knew from this signal alone, and others as well, but this one just simple, very, very clear to see, that this was telling us that dollar was going to appreciate exactly what it did. So it was a little before Trump won the election, not long before. Maybe that is anticipation, but the dollar strengthened quite a bit. As I say, I think we're getting some reactions and correction back down for the time being. So I'll just go back to the 4 hour. So that told us, first of all, dollar was going to appreciate exactly what it did. Then it told us precisely the point where it's going to depreciate. That's precisely what's happening at the moment. So these signals are very powerful. So at the moment, let's just open it out to try to see. There's the signal we had. When we open it out a little bit, there was the signal to tell us the dollar was going to sell off, precisely what it did. Now this looks, when you look at it, it's all downward movement. It's not choppy. So this looks like either a wave 1 or a wave A. It's an impulsive move down. And then we've got a bit more choppiness moving up. And then we start to move down again. So I would say at least we have A, B, and C. C would take us probably to equality with wave A if it's just a simple ABC. It could be the beginning of an impulse down, 1, 2, 3. But if we just at the moment, consider it to be the minimum likely retracement, we'd expect dollar index to continue to move down further. At the moment, dollar index has been correlated with Bitcoin and the like. And so we saw the Bitcoin peak somewhere around here. And that's the same with the dollar peak. And as Bitcoin moved down, the dollar moved down and up and down again. So at the moment, we're seeing Bitcoin moving down a little bit again, and we're seeing dollar index move down. Now we're expecting dollar index to move down a bit further. That tells me likely Bitcoin is going to move down a bit further. And that's what we just saw when we looked at the Bitcoin chart. So very, very interesting. As I say, we need those jigsaw pieces to fit together. And we've got the technical indicators here. We've got the fundamental indications that Bruce has mentioned, things like inflation being way above target and increasing, and yet growth is decreasing, unemployment is increasing. All the signs are there. The signs are in place that recession is coming in 2025, most likely. The Fed will not be able to reduce interest rates in the aggressive way they want to because inflation is above target. They cannot realistically continue to reduce rates when inflation is above target, because it means that prices, if they reduce rates, prices continue to go up, and yet the economy is slowing. It's counterproductive. They've got a real problem on their hands, and this has been brewing for a long time, hasn't it, Bruce? With the money printing, throwing money into the economy, it doesn't stimulate real production. What it does, it throws money into risk assets, and that's why in the past years, particularly since the pandemic, but even since 2008 with the financial crisis back then, but especially since the pandemic, they printed so much money, threw it into the market basically. It didn't go into production. As I say, it went into asset prices. So people felt good. They felt that it was a remedy because people had no money at the time. They just created this money out of thin air, and people put it into risk assets, especially wealthy people put it into risk assets, which doesn't produce real productivity, but it does produce growth in stock markets. And we've seen that if we just flip over to the S&P. Here's the S&P. We can see it was all-time high very recently. But like the dollar index, like Bitcoin, it looks as though we've got beautiful divergences in place again, by the way, yet again. So here we had regular bearish divergence, told us the peak. That's actually also 100% Fibonacci extension of the previous wave. So virtually on the button, it turned as expected. So we got this higher high in price, but lower high in RSI volume. So in other words, price was not supported by volume. So then you expect price to fall. Precisely what happened. It looked as though it fell in 5 waves, and then we got some kind of ABC correction higher. So that being the case, we do expect short term, we expect probably some lower movement to come in the S&P 500. In other words, in stock markets, the Dow, the NASDAQ, et cetera, and risk assets in general, because I think this will probably remain quite tightly correlated with Bitcoin. So again, the jigsaw pieces continue to fit together nicely to give us the picture of what is likely to happen short term here. It's likely that we're going to see lower prices. So as I say, that's an impulsive A wave down in 5 waves. We've got an ABC up for a correction higher, and we're probably going to get a further movement down. Now, what will precipitate that? It could be the technical issues, it could be the economic woes, it could be geopolitical issues, all sorts of things. And as you say, those plane crashes going on all around the world, it's just strange. You know, that Korean crash.
It's like it's too many to be coincidence. I mean, it's just like there's something going on. We may never know what it is, but there is something going on.
Yeah. So there's a lot of concerns shaking the markets at the moment. But as I say, on thin liquidity, they're not really going anywhere. They're just going up and down at the moment, not really going anywhere. But any of these issues actually boil over and take hold. Like Syria, for example, there's a lot of potential risk there with Syria. So that could potentially boil over and give us further troubles.
And while you're talking about it, I didn't even really mention it in my opening monologue or whatever, but the Taliban, which is the CIA backed group, is now attacking Pakistan, and so now you have this new front opening up with Afghanistan and Pakistan. It's like they never stop. Yeah, no one's talking about that at all.
There's trouble going on everywhere. Even Israel striking the Houthis in Yemen. They've actually accelerated those, increased that. And then now, the talk is they are going to attack the Iranian nuclear facilities. Again, before January 20th, most likely. So there's a lot going on. So this could cause short-term turmoil in the markets. So it might not, but if there's a high risk of it happening, it makes sense to be cautious with your trading, I believe. So this is the situation with Solana. And again, we've had a move down from the all-time high, or the equal all-time high on Solana, around that 265-ish level, which was there or thereabouts the all-time high. We've moved down very correctively since then. From that move down, we're now moving correctively sideways. And you can see this kind of triangle-shaped consolidation that we have. And it's possibly part of a triangle. It could be that we've had, this could be an ABC down. I've got it labeled as WXY, but they're the same type of corrective move. They're in the same family of corrective moves. So whatever it is, it's some kind of correction down. It's all overlapping, so no doubt in my mind it's corrective. But also this movement up is also no doubt in my mind it's corrective. It's not impulsive higher. So it's a corrective sideways move. We could push a little bit higher. It could be an A wave down, a corrective B wave triangle, then a C wave a little bit higher. But then we still expect further movement to the downside. So once again, this fits with the overall theme that we have of further corrective move for the time being. So I'm not comfortable going long in the markets at this stage, but I'm also not entirely comfortable going short. I do think it's just a time to sit things out, keep your powder dry again. You could miss out on a big move, but don't forget, it's not necessary to catch every move in the market. And when there's heightened risk, as there is now, it's prudent and sensible to keep your powder dry. And yes, maybe you miss an opportunity, but so what? There's always opportunities in trading. We've got a new year ahead of us with new opportunities, new risks, new challenges, but they're all there to be assessed. And you look for the best risk reward when you're trading. The best reward, the largest reward that you can get for the risk that you're taking. And at the moment, I would say the risk is high. So it might be a good gamble. But traders are not out and out gamblers. Traders are actually very, very, very sort of level-headed when it comes to taking risks. They don't take undue risk for a small reward. They want it in their favor. And it's like professional gamblers. Professional gamblers, there are some that can win, and they actually usually get locked out by the casinos, don't they? But if you have a system that works, it's all about managing risk and reward, and that's what trading is all about. So some people see it as gambling, but it's not. It's actually managing risk and reward in a professional, scientific way. Trading is not really an art. It is actually a science. Some people the funny thing is, it's very difficult to actually program this into a system and have that program work. But with the advent of AI, there's a possibility that trading could be managed effectively with an artificially intelligent system. The reason traditional algorithms don't work are the moment you program a system that works, the market changes to make sure it doesn't work, because the market naturally works against you. So that's why to date, algorithms have not been that good at providing trading profits. But who knows with the advent of AI? And that's why even today, that actual traders, human traders, usually top human traders that are usually outperform top mechanical systems, algorithms, etc. Algorithms can work very, very, very well for a time, and they can work well in a quick rising market, but they're not good when circumstances change, when the environment changes. But that again could all change. You mentioned about AI, what's going to happen. There's so many things on a technological side that could change, and that's what I say, there's uncertainty. Technology is really at the cusp of potential massive change. We've got all these challenges that I mentioned, that I wouldn't be right of me to just talk about challenges without talking about opportunities. We've got the potential for quantum computing. Now, quantum computing, I'm told now, is only probably 5 years away, which can create massive challenges, but they're already, I mean, Google spent billions, as we know, on AI and on quantum computing. And whilst, again, it creates challenges, it also creates tremendous opportunities. So who knows what the world will be? It's just accelerating, it's changing. Let's hope we can overcome all of those challenges that we've mentioned, those geopolitical, those economic. If we harness the power of AI properly, unfortunately, mankind doesn't have a good track record, do they? When they get the power,
we don't. We do not have a good track record. It's pretty frightening, though, just the whole thought of it. I mean, quantum computing, people are like, oh yeah, that's what they've always said about Bitcoin. Oh yeah, well, when quantum computing it's all over. Well, when quantum computing is here, so is your bank. It's all over too. It's all different. You know what I mean?
But they're already examining ways to deal with quantum computing. So there are ways actually to have systems that can still remain protected, even even with the influence, or even with quantum computing being a reality. There are ways to do it, and I won't go into that, but it's really interesting to look at how they're doing it, the research that's going on. Same with nuclear fusion. I don't know how many years that is away, but that would be unlimited energy for us. Let's talk about thorium reactors. There's been a lot of research there. They've got, there's lots of potential there. Energy is always a big problem for mankind. And if there's limitless energy for very, very low costs, that again could be quite a game changer. Could equalize, disparities in power. And then, as you say, we talk about the problem of, you talked about the problem of there's not enough children being born. That's true. We see it particularly in Japan, for example. But then also just think about it. Maybe it's not such a problem. If AI does really become a thing of the, not just of the future, but a thing of today, then more things will be done with robotics. We don't need all these young people to be working. Because it'll all be done by robots. It'll all be done by AI. So why do we need so many new people coming into the world? We actually probably want more of a balance. We don't want the world population to continue to grow and grow and grow. There are only so many resources. So maybe AI is actually the solution, Bruce.
Well, I think what we're going to have is a mix. You're going to have the AI and the humans that are mixing. I think that if human population continues to not grow, then, if you're not moving forward, if you're standing still, you're going backwards. So I would definitely say that we keep wanting to grow the population. But I hear your point. But I think that what we're going to do is it'll be mixed. We're going to have, what do they call it? Transhumanism. People are going to be partially, I mean, it's not far at all. It's not far at all. You already have Neuralink. Guys are with Neuralink. If I have Neuralink and you have Neuralink, we can talk to each other telepathically. I mean, there you go. And that's just like right now. 5-10 years from now, as fast as this stuff is going, It's the future is wild. The future 2025 is going to be wild. The future is going to be wild.
I'm not sure. I'd like to know what you're thinking, Bruce. But anyway, let's just finish on gold, shall we?
Yep.
Just for the time being. Then we'll, as I say, when it comes New Year, we'll take a bigger macro look at where things are going. But gold, a little bit like the rest of them, it actually carries on the same theme. We've had a move down from this all-time high. The all-time high was a beautiful example of regular bearish divergence with the higher highs on price, and it actually had lower highs in RSI. Even short term, we can see actually here we've got lower highs in RSI, we've got higher highs on price. So as I say, even if we look at the very short term, we'll just draw it in here from that peak that we had there to there, we've got higher highs on price, and we've got corresponding lower highs on RSI. There. You can see what I'm talking about there anyway. So that told us that there's big fall in the gold price. So it's very, very easily predicted just using, again, this very simple indicator. Never good to use one indicator alone. We use multiple indicators, but just here's a very simple one. Just straight away it told you there's a peak here. And we actually had long-term bearish divergence and short-term bearish divergence coinciding exactly the same point. That was a strong sell signal for gold. So it told us gold was going down. At the moment, it's looking corrective sideways. So it tells me there's likely to be another push down. And gold is also reasonably well correlated at the moment with Bitcoin and with the US dollar. So it's a risk asset still. I mean, I know it's a store of value, but it's also, remember the financial crisis back in 2008, gold still fell in value. So if the markets are falling, less money available for investment into assets, so maybe gold will fall as well. So I think they're all tied together for the time being, as we're seeing a potential slowing of the economy. Maybe we'll see a further push down in gold. So if it's a correction, A, B, or a C wave down, then that means it's not the all-time high. There's another high yet to come because the impulsive direction is higher. So the impulsive direction is from, again, if we scroll out, we can see that the main impulsive direction is definitely to the upside. This is just a correction, ABC correction down, and then we would expect further movement up. So again, just to summarize, I think short term, the risk is we're going to see more choppiness. There's risk for downside, but I still think we're going to see new all-time highs in most assets sometime in the new year, in 2025. But what we'll do, as I say, on the Wednesday, I think we'll look at the outlook for 2025 and just see what the macro picture is from there. But yeah, that's it for today, Bruce. Hope it helps. Look forward to catching up, especially I'm looking forward to the new year so we can have a look for those macro themes. And
awesome. Yes, it is going to be interesting. A lot going on. Thank you so much, Matt.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, everybody. God bless. Bye for now.
Cheers. Great, Matt Dixon with the Market Watch Report, world-class reporting that we do here on the Impact Money Show. We do it every day, Monday through Friday. Pretty much, you know, sometimes I did take we did take some time off during this Christmas holiday, but after a year doing the show, we thought that it was pretty nice. Got some good time in on the golf course and good time with family. I hope everybody else did too. It was a lot of fun. I do have the prices scrolling down here at the bottom. Those are the current prices of crypto. We'll be doing a lot more of that as we move forward too. I tell you what, this next 20 days, the next 22 days is going to be really important. You're going to see, you heard what Matt was saying. Of course, Israel is trying to get a lot of stuff done before the new administration comes in. I think Syria was obviously part of that. They wanted to get Syria done. Trump probably would not have supported ousting Assad. So they wanted to do that beforehand. Now, this war with Pakistan, I think, is remarkable. I think it is should not be, Pakistan, as Johnny mentioned, is a nuclear power. And of course, Israel's nuclear power. And they'd already, that looked like a tactical nuke to me. It registered radiation. It registered on the Richter scale. It looked like, we have to be just, it looks like, it walks like a duck. It looks like a duck, quacks like a duck. It's probably a duck, right? So they're already using nuke. And for what? Syria's Assad left. I haven't even really figured out why they're bombing the place, except to bomb the own forces that they backed. I'm not sure. But anyway, tactical nuke, a nuclear weapon seems not the way to go over there. So now maybe they did that to warn Pakistan that they'll do it. I'm not sure, but I think that front is heating up big time and people are not paying attention to it. I actually had my theories about all that as well as I caught up with all of the shenanigans on X about the H-1B visas and the meltdown and everything like that. All of that could just be so that you don't notice that they're dropping nukes in Syria and that we're opening up a new front of the war. The Al-Qaeda is opening up a new front in the war, and we're going in and going after Pakistan. You got to think. It was funny. I asked Grok about myself one time, and they said I joked about my relationship with my wife. So you got to think like a woman, okay? You got to think like a woman. You got to think a few steps ahead. That's what I had to deal with. I was laughing with my mother about it and my sister, because my wife Emmy, and they were all having their woman chat, and she was, well, why don't we do this, this, and this? And it was like, back around and connect and everything like this, right? I said, you see what I have to deal with? It's actually made me think a lot more wide as well, because I have to deal with this wife who's thinking like 3 or 4 steps ahead of what's going to happen. Most people don't think like that. You do want to think like that, because if I do this, what's that going to do, and what's that going to do, what's that going to do? You want to think about it. So you got to think like a woman. I say, think like a woman. So if this whole shenanigans of the H-1B visas and total meltdown of everybody on X over a very, very small percentage of the migration that's happening was just to cover up, to make sure everybody was talking about that and not the fact that Israel was dropping nukes in Syria and opening up Pakistan and doing all this stuff. Totally plausible. Maybe even likely. And like I said, sending over more money to the Ukraine and of course we have Saylor, I think, is not able to buy Bitcoin at the moment, so that's going to affect the markets too. Or he's not able to put together these. What he's been doing is putting it together a convertible note, from what I understand, and then buying Bitcoin by the billions and billions. That's what he's been doing. And for right now, there's like a cooling off period or something like that with his NASDAQ listing. And there's something there. Not sure exactly what it is, but there's something. Anyway, great show, guys. It is always a pleasure as we head into the new year. We're having a great time. We're going to continue with it. There is a lot of exciting things happening. As I have been talking about, we are growing exponentially. Cheers.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost, become a champion of free speech, and help to reshape the future of media.